On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected. Terry Michael Brunk, known to wrestling fans worldwide as Sabu, passed away suddenly on May 12, 2025 at the age of 60. His death, occurring less than a month after his final match, marked the end of an era for hardcore wrestling, a genre he helped define. While the cause of death has not been publicly disclosed, the wrestling community mourns the loss of a pioneer whose fearless style and indomitable spirit left an indelible mark on the sport. Trained by his uncle, the legendary Ed the Sheik Farhat, Sabu debuted in 1985 and quickly became synonymous with extreme championship wrestling in the 1990s. Dubbed the suicidal, homicidal, genocidal, death-defying maniac, he captivated audiences with high-risk maneuvers like the triple jump moonsault and the Arabian facebuster. His matches often involved tables, chairs, and barbed wire, pushing the boundaries of physical endurance and redefining what was possible in the ring. Sabu's career spanned numerous promotions, including WWE, TNA, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. He held multiple championships, notably 2 ECW World Heavyweight titles and the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. His influence extended beyond titles. He inspired a generation of wrestlers to embrace a more extreme, unorthodox style. The immediate aftermath of his passing saw an outpouring of tributes from the wrestling world. Organizations like WWE and AEW honored his legacy, with WWE calling him a pioneer of hardcore wrestling. Longtime friends and colleagues, including Taz and Rob Van Dam, expressed deep sorrow, highlighting Sabu's impact on their careers and the industry at large. Sabu's death underscores the physical and emotional toll professional wrestling can exact. His willingness to sacrifice his body for the sake of entertainment reflects a bygone era's values, where resilience and spectacle often overshadowed personal well-being. Yet his legacy endures, not just in the annals of wrestling history, but in the hearts of fans who admired his unyielding dedication. We immortalize figures like Sabu through continued storytelling, commemorative events, and the preservation of their most iconic matches. His life and career serve as a testament to the human spirit's capacity for passion and perseverance, reminding us of the profound impact one individual can have on an entire industry. David Sanborn, the Grammy-winning saxophonist renowned for his emotive tone and genre-defying collaborations, passed away on May 12, 2024, at the age of 78 due to complications from prostate cancer. Diagnosed in 2018, Sanborn continued to perform and had concerts scheduled into 2025, exemplifying his unwavering dedication to music. Born in Tampa, Florida, in 1945, Sanborn overcame childhood polio, which left him with impaired respiration and a shorter left arm. Advised to play a wind instrument to strengthen his lungs, he took up the saxophone at age 11. By 14, he was performing with blues legends like Albert King. His early experiences laid the foundation for a career that seamlessly blended jazz, R&B, and pop. Sanborn's distinctive sound graced numerous iconic recordings, including David Bowie's Young Americans, Stevie Wonder's Tuesday Heartbreak, and James Taylor's How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You. Despite being associated with the smooth jazz label, he resisted such categorization, emphasizing his unique musical identity. Throughout his career, Sanborn released over 20 solo albums, earning 6 Grammy Awards and achieving 8 gold and 1 platinum album. His influence extended beyond recordings. He co-hosted the innovative TV show Night Music, which showcased eclectic musical collaborations. Sanborn's passing prompted tributes from across the music world, highlighting his role in bringing the saxophone to the forefront of contemporary music. His legacy endures through his recordings and the generations of musicians he inspired. In reflecting on Sanborn's life and death, we are reminded of the power of resilience and the enduring impact of artistic innovation. His journey from a polio-stricken child to a world-renowned musician exemplifies the transformative power of music and the human spirit's capacity to overcome adversity. Robert Reed, born John Robert Reitz Jr. on October 19, 1932 in Highland Park, Illinois, was a classically trained actor who achieved widespread fame as Mike Brady, the affable patriarch of the blended family in the sitcom The Brady Bunch. Reed passed away on May 12, 1992 at the age of 59 due to colon lymphoma. Subsequent reports revealed that he was also HIV positive, a condition that contributed to his death. Reed's death highlighted the challenges faced by gay actors in Hollywood during an era when homosexuality was stigmatized. Throughout his career, Reed kept his sexual orientation private, fearing professional repercussions. This secrecy extended to his health. He disclosed his terminal illness only to close friends and family shortly before his passing. The immediate aftermath of Reed's death saw an outpouring of tributes from colleagues and fans who remembered him for his professionalism and dedication to his craft. His portrayal of Mike Brady left an indelible mark on American pop culture, symbolizing the idealized father figure of the late 20th century. Despite his personal struggles, Reed's commitment to his roles and his students — he taught Shakespeare at UCLA in his later years — underscored his passion for the performing arts. Reed's passing also contributed to the broader conversation about HIV/AIDS, particularly concerning the importance of compassion and understanding for those affected by the disease. His decision to keep his diagnosis private reflected the societal pressures and fears prevalent at the time. In reflecting on Reed's life and legacy, we are reminded of the complexities of personal identity and the societal challenges that can accompany it. His contributions to television and theater continue to be celebrated, and his story serves as a poignant example of the intersection between personal authenticity and public persona. Monica Zetterland, the renowned Swedish jazz singer and actress, met a tragic and untimely end on May 12, 2005, when a fire broke out in her Stockholm apartment. Suffering from severe scoliosis, Zetterland had limited mobility, which made escape nearly impossible. The fire, reportedly caused by a cigarette, claimed her life at age 67. Her passing was accidental, yet it also highlighted the often overlooked challenges of aging and disability, especially for those once hailed as icons of glamour and vitality. Zetterland's death reverberated throughout Sweden, a nation that had long admired her for bridging the local and the global. She was best known internationally for her collaboration with American jazz legend Bill Evans on the 1964 album Waltz for Debbie, a rare achievement for a non-English-speaking artist in the jazz world. At home, she became a cultural treasure, not only for her music, but also for her roles in Swedish cinema, including collaborations with famed director Hasse Ekman and the comedy duo Hasse and Tag. The intimate and domestic circumstances of her death stood in stark contrast to the public life she had lived. Yet in a way, it echoed the quieter, melancholic undertones of many of her performances. Her voice, cool and restrained, had always captured the poignancy of longing and solitude, emotions that seemed painfully relevant in her final moments. In the immediate aftermath of her death, tributes poured in from across Sweden and beyond. Memorial concerts were held, and her recordings saw a resurgence in popularity. Swedish artists and filmmakers have continued to reference her legacy, framing Zetterland as both a symbol of national pride and a poignant reminder of the fleeting nature of fame and life itself. Her death did not merely end a life, it underscored the enduring resonance of her art. In Sweden, she has been immortalized through documentaries, stage productions like Monica, on Music Hall, and statues that preserve her image in public memory. This reflects a broader human impulse, to wrest meaning from mortality, to fix ephemeral brilliance in bronze or melody. Zetterland's passing reveals how we elevate artists not only for their talent, but for their capacity to articulate the intangible, longing, vulnerability, and beauty. Her voice may have been stilled, but its echo remains, an enduring note in the collective memory of a nation and the wider world of jazz. Michel Piccoli, the prolific French actor and filmmaker, passed away on May 12, 2020, at the age of 94 from a stroke. His death was natural, quiet, and in sharp contrast to the passionate, provocative characters he portrayed throughout a career that spanned over 7 decades. Known for his collaborations with auteurs such as Luis Buñuel, Jean-Luc Godard, and Marco Ferreri, Piccoli's passing marked the end of an era in European cinema, one defined by artistic daring, political commentary, and psychological complexity. Piccoli's career flourished during the post-war rise of European art house cinema, an era in which film became a vehicle for social critique and existential reflection. He became a symbol of that cultural renaissance, portraying morally ambiguous, introspective characters who wrestled with identity, power, and desire. His death, though peaceful, felt symbolic of the fading of a generation of actors who had shaped modern cinematic language with intellectual rigor and emotional intensity. The immediate response to his death was one of reverence and nostalgia. French President Emmanuel Macron called him a giant of cinema, and tributes flowed from international film circles. Retrospectives of his work surged, particularly his performances in Le Mépris, La Grande Bouffe, and Habemus Papam, 2011. These roles, ranging from a conflicted screenwriter to a disillusioned pope, reflected the anxieties of modern man, making his legacy not just artistic, but philosophical. Piccoli's passing did not radically shift the trajectory of history, but it did underscore the gradual cultural transition from politically engaged, auteur-driven cinema to more commercialized storytelling. His death prompted reflection on the role of the actor as an interpreter of societal tensions, and on the enduring value of films that challenge audiences to think deeply. In remembering Piccoli, we see how humanity grapples with mortality by curating legacies through cinema and cultural memory. His work is preserved in restored prints, celebrated in film festivals, and analyzed in film schools. Art becomes the vessel through which memory resists oblivion. Piccoli's death reminds us that while human lives are finite, their echoes endure through the stories we tell and the images we preserve. He is immortalized not by monuments, but by celluloid, a medium as fragile as it is eternal. Through his performances, he continues to speak to new generations about love, loss, and the human condition. Machiko Kio, one of Japan's most iconic actresses, died of heart failure on May 12, 2019, at the age of 95. Her death, natural and peaceful, stood in striking contrast to the intense emotional and cultural turbulence she often portrayed on screen. Best known internationally for her role in Akira Kurosawa's Rashomon, 1950, Kyo's passing marked the quiet end of an era defined by Japan's cinematic golden age and the post-war search for identity and meaning. Kio rose to prominence during a transformative period in Japanese history. In the aftermath of World War II, Japanese cinema emerged as both a mirror and mender of national trauma. Through films like Ugetsu, 1953, and Gate of Hell, 1953. Kio embodied characters caught between tradition and modernity, duty and desire. Her performances were not just artistic achievements, they were cultural commentaries, steeped in the tensions of a rapidly changing society. Her portrayals often reflected the struggles of women navigating oppressive systems, be they feudal, familial, or emotional. The immediate consequence of her death was a wave of national mourning, particularly among older generations who had grown up with her films. Japan's major media outlets revisited her legacy, and retrospectives aired on television and in cinemas. While her death did not shift the political landscape, it reignited appreciation for Japan's post-war cultural output and drew attention to the delicate craftsmanship of mid-20th century Japanese cinema, a craft now often overshadowed by modern commercial filmmaking. Kio's legacy was amplified by her death, as her work became a touchstone for discussions about gender, cultural identity, and cinematic heritage. In a time when digital media often prioritizes speed and spectacle, her slow-burning, emotionally rich performances stood out as timeless reminders of depth and nuance. Humanity has long sought to preserve greatness through memory, and Machiko Kio is no exception. Her image and influence endure through film archives, scholarly analysis, and tributes from contemporary directors. She is commemorated not only through accolades and retrospectives, but in the continued relevance of the questions her roles posed about honor, passion, and selfhood. Kio's passing invites reflection on how we remember those who shaped our cultural consciousness. In her still frames and haunting gazes, she reminds us that mortality need not be an end. It can be a beginning, a point at which memory and meaning deepen and take root in the collective imagination. Teddy Infur, a child actor who appeared in more than 30 films during Hollywood's golden age, passed away from natural causes on May 12, 2007, at the age of 70. Unlike the dramatic lives and deaths of some of his contemporaries, Infur's exit was quiet and unpublicized, a poignant end for someone who had once stood beneath the glow of studio lights. His story is emblematic of a broader narrative about fame's fleeting nature and the quiet challenges faced by child stars as they age out of public memory. Born in 1936, Infur's career blossomed during World War II and the years that followed, a time when American cinema played a vital role in shaping public morale and national identity. He was frequently cast in roles that reflected the innocence and vulnerability of childhood, appearing alongside stars like Claude Rains in The Strange Affair of Uncle Harry and in the acclaimed The Lost Weekend. These performances, while brief, contributed to the emotional depth of the stories they supported, often emphasizing the moral center or stakes of the adult narratives. Infur's early fame did not translate into a long-term acting career. Like many child actors of the era, he quietly transitioned out of the spotlight, later working in laboratory services, a sharp contrast to the glitz of his youth. The understated circumstances of his death reflect a reality often overlooked in the mythology of Hollywood. For many performers, especially children, fame is ephemeral, and the transition to a private life can be both liberating and lonely. His passing, while not a seismic cultural event, underscores the quiet dignity of lives lived in the margins of memory. Infur's death invites a re-examination of how we define legacy, reminding us that historical significance is not always measured by headlines or monuments, but by the subtle ways individuals shape the cultural fabric of their time. Through archival footage, film preservation efforts, and the dedicated work of classic cinema enthusiasts, Teddy Infur's brief but poignant presence in American film endures. His life reflects our complex relationship with memory and celebrity, how quickly names can fade, and how deeply performances can linger. In remembering figures like Infur, we affirm that every role, no matter how small, contributes to the larger narrative of art and humanity. Perry Como, the iconic American crooner and television personality, passed away on May 12, 2001, at the age of 88, following a long battle with Alzheimer's disease. His death, natural and slow, reflected the quiet end of an era for a man whose career had spanned over 6 decades. As one of the most beloved figures in mid-20th century American entertainment, Como's death felt like the closing of a chapter in the history of easy-listening music and family-friendly television. Como's rise to fame came during the 1940s and 1950s, when the United States was emerging from the austerity of World War II into an era of prosperity. His soothing baritone voice and laid-back persona made him the perfect entertainer for a time when families sought comfort and simplicity. He became a staple of the American home with his Christmas specials and long-running TV shows, providing wholesome entertainment that was in stark contrast to the fast-paced, often chaotic world outside. His ability to remain approachable, never too flashy or controversial, made him a beloved figure, a symbol of stability and tradition during an era of social and cultural change. The immediate aftermath of Como's death was one of nostalgia and reverence. Tributes flooded in from all over the world, praising his legacy and the joy his music had brought to generations of fans. Though Como had stepped away from the limelight in his later years, his passing reignited interest in his career and amplified his legend. While his death did not shift the trajectory of history in a political sense, it did offer an opportunity for reflection on the cultural values he represented, values of family, peace, and simplicity. Como's death served to immortalize him in the collective memory of those who had grown up with his music and television appearances. Through his recordings, holiday specials, and the continuing influence of his style, Como's legacy endures. In many ways, we preserve figures like him not through statues or historical monuments, but through the art, music, and traditions they leave behind. Perry Como's passing reminds us of our deep connection to those who have shaped the cultural fabric of our lives, and how we continue to celebrate and remember them long after they're gone. Tor Johnson, the Swedish-born wrestler turned actor, died on May 12, 1971, from heart failure at the age of 67. His death was natural, yet it was also the end of a life marked by both physical prowess and an unusual place in Hollywood history. Known for his massive size, standing 6'5" and weighing around 300 pounds, Johnson had a presence that made him a fitting figure for the strange and bizarre world of B-movie horror. His passing, relatively quiet in the moment, would later be tied to the cult legacy of his film roles, particularly his appearances in the films of the notorious director Ed Wood, most notably Plan 9 from Outer Space. Born in Sweden, Johnson initially found success as a professional wrestler before transitioning into film. In the 1950s and 1960s, he became a staple of low-budget science fiction and horror movies, often cast in roles that capitalized on his intimidating physique and silent, menacing presence. He was typecast as the strong, silent monster or villain, roles that were central to the rising popularity of campy and cult films during an era of post-war anxieties, where fear of the unknown and the uncanny often dominated popular culture. The immediate impact of his death was muted. His name, while known in certain circles, had not achieved the mainstream fame of other Hollywood stars. However, in the decades following his passing, Tor Johnson became a beloved figure in the world of cult cinema. His collaborations with Ed Wood, particularly in Plan 9 from Outer Space, which is often regarded as one of the worst films ever made, cemented his place in film history. As the film gained notoriety, Johnson's legacy grew, with subsequent generations of fans embracing him as an icon of eccentric, low-budget filmmaking. His death, in hindsight, amplified his legend, as his unique combination of physicality and peculiar charm resonated with audiences who valued the outsider spirit of B-movie culture. Johnson's death, though largely unnoticed at the time, reflects how society's relationship with mortality, fame, and memory often shifts with time. While his passing didn't initially alter the course of history, it highlighted how pop culture can transform figures from obscurity to immortality. Tor Johnson's legacy is preserved through his cult films and the continued admiration of fans who celebrate the oddities of cinema, showing that even in death, certain figures continue to captivate, challenge, and entertain.